Today I'd like to continue with our discussion of the book of Deuteronomy. We're in chapter 20 of that wonderful book, part of the Torah of the Hebrew Scriptures. We're in this section talking about the battles and military and how the conduct of the battle should go. And it's interesting that they say that the official will ask the soldiers if anyone has built a new house. And has not yet been to the housewarming. They'll also ask if anyone has planted a vineyard, but not enjoyed the fruit, or if anyone has been betrothed to a woman, but has not yet taken her as the wife. And also, if is there anyone who is afraid in terms of fighting. And after the official has asked the soldiers that, any of them who have answered in the positive, all of those will return home. So you can see there was a compassionate sense here of the military. There were certain situations where a person could be excused from serving in battle. Then after that has been determined and the army has been set, military officers will be appointed over the army. So they'll be divided into different sections, and there will be officers that will be in charge of certain men in those sections. Now, also very interesting about the attack and how that would work. So if they go to attack a city, they should offer peace terms first to that city. So again, it was a sense that, well, we're going to attack you, but first we're people of peace. So we want to offer peace terms to you. If the peace terms are accepted, then all the people in the town will serve as forced labor. Nobody will be killed, but they'll just be served as forced labor. If the peace terms, though, are not accepted, they are to lay siege and put every male to the sword and spare the women and children and livestock. They can take whatever is left after that as plunder. And that plunder, of course, would be divided among the soldiers. So again, the first movement here is for peace. Let's have peace. But if the peace terms are accepted, then they sort of become somewhat like slaves. There's this forced labor that is put upon them. However, peace terms are not accepted, and every male can be killed, and of course the women and children would be spared. The people should also doom certain people, which is the doom is kind of a complete destruction, and that would apply to the Hittites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Now you might say, why did they pick on these people to have this complete destruction, this doom where everything is completely wiped out? Well, the reason was that they make these abominable offerings to their gods. And the Jewish people were quite concerned about that because they figured if they're making those offerings, and if there's any of these people left, then they might influence the Jewish people to also make those offerings. So the motivation here was always purity of faith. We might think that's kind of a harsh way to look at it, but they saw too often how the faith could be diluted, and they wanted to make sure that that did not happen. So those particular tribes, they had that doom against them, so there would be complete destruction. However, again, very interestingly, some cautions about war and restrictions. They should not cut down fruit trees of a besieged city that you are fighting in a protracted battle. Other trees can be cut down and used in the siege, but not the fruit trees. So again, that sensitivity to the fact that these fruit trees would be very important for the people going forward. And so don't cut down the fruit trees. Other trees, fine, but the fruit trees, well, it's going to sustain the people. So again, there was war. It was brutal, certainly, but there were restrictions in terms of how far the people could go and exactly what they could do. And there was always the initiative to have the peace terms first. So that was always presented as the initial idea. When we move on to chapter 21 of the book of Deuteronomy, we get some other restrictions that are put in place. So, for example, if the corpse of a slain man is found, there should be a purification ritual involving the cutting of the throat of a heifer in a wadi and the ceremonial washing of the hands of the elders from the nearest city to establish that these elders were innocent of the slaying. So the idea is, well, this person is slain. We don't know who slayed the person. So we take some precautions. So there'd be this washing of the hands, which would be a ritual that would say, I'm innocent of this. I have not done this washing of the hands, which is very interesting. Of course, we're going to see the washing of the hands later on, even in the Christian scriptures, with regard to Pontius Pilate washing his hands in terms of the death of Jesus. So the idea was that if the hands were washed, I am innocent of any crime. This shows really also the importance of the blood of the slain man and the way that this ground is sacred to God. The ground has been stained by the blood. There must be a purification because of that. And also, another very interesting aspect of this is that the homicide really affects the entire community. When someone is killed, there might not be a blood relation to the person, but they're an important part of the community, and that's to be respected and to acknowledge. And so there should be a purification ritual so we as a community can come to terms with this death. Try to understand the death, try to understand, of course, why it happened. We investigate that, but also how it's going to affect each and every person. So we hear about this person dying, well, they're part of our community. So there is this grieving that's naturally going to occur. Now, who are the witnesses to this? So we have to have, witnesses in terms of the purification and the rituals. The witnesses would be the priests from the tribe of Levi. So again, shows the important role that the priests have in the community. They would witness this purification, make sure it was attended to, so that the sacredness of each and every human life would be brought out through this ritual. Now, what about a natural question that would come up? Can you marry a woman who has been taken captive? So in the process of fighting, there's a woman that's taken captive and you're attracted to this woman and then you have to start a relationship with her, you get to know her. Well, you can take her as a wife, but she must undergo a purification because she has become a captive and she might be, again from another tribe, not related to the Jewish faith. So she must undergo this purification, and the purification would be by shaving her head and paring her nails and laying aside her captive's garb. So she must mourn then for her mother and father for a month, and then you can have a sexual relationship with her. So again, there's this mourning period for a mother and father, because presumably, they're not around anymore, or if they're around, she's going to become part of your tribe, your faith. So there's this mourning period that is undergone. We see here in chapter 20 and 21 is some very interesting customs with regard to war, some restrictions on war that are very important. And of course, that initial initiative is always for peace.